Hi, I'm Mircea Monroe. You might know me from episodes. You're currently listening to my interview with Elaine Goodman on gogoodman.com.au. Woohoo!
You were born in America, but spent most of your first 10 years in the Solomon Islands and Fiji, where your dad worked. What do you remember about this period? Are there any cultural differences that stand out to you now, or something you missed from, or something you miss from living in that area?
Oh, yeah. I miss everything. I mean, it's so beautiful, and it was an incredible, incredible place to grow up. And culturally, I mean, we lived in a house among huts, so, it's so different than the U.S. But I feel grateful that I was able to experience that and kind of have that be my formative years, for sure. The U.S. obviously has, wonderful qualities, but nothing beats growing up on an island.
It'd be the freedom. It's the same as probably growing up in a country town here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's probably pretty similar to what you're familiar with.
Yeah. How was schooling different between there and America? Like the education system or what they taught you? Were you up to date when you moved from the Solomon Islands to America and got into schooling in America?
You know what's crazy is that most people would think that maybe the schools wouldn't be as good because it's so small. And when we moved to the U.S., I actually skipped a grade. So I don't know what that says about
America.
Yeah. But yeah, I skipped a grade, and therefore I ended up graduating a year early, which was fantastic, except for the fact that I couldn't drive yet. So the schools were pretty great.
Were there difficulties trying to integrate back into American life and trying to make American friends?
Totally, because first of all, I had a pretty strong accent, so, whenever you're little, you want to fit in and you want to be like everyone else. So I remember when we moved, being very aware of making an effort to change the way that I spoke so that I would fit in more. And now, of course, I regret it because the accent was so awesome.
Do you remember, have you ever tried doing the accent now? Do you still have a bit of that accent? What is it?
The funny part is now I'm terrible. All our home movies are amazing and, have, my little self with this strong, it was like a mixture. It was obviously, heavily influenced by Australia, but it was also a little British. And then I had a lot of friends that were native, so it was such a strange accent. But yeah, I think if I studied myself back then, I'd be able to do it again. But I've lived in the U.S. now for so long that it's sort of, this is obviously the natural way I speak, unfortunately.
And you went. One of the funny things I found out about you is you moved from the Solomon Islands straight to the hard streets of Detroit. So that must have been a huge cultural difference.
Yeah, there to Michigan, and Detroit makes it sound way more cool, but it was a little town called Chelsea, which was really quaint and cute, and
wasn't the stereotypical Michigan.
No, it was pretty. Michigan's awesome, but this town especially was pretty wonderful. But it was definitely an adjustment because we were living on an island near the equator, and then I'm in Michigan where there's snow and so many white people, and at least in Chelsea there were, and I found that pretty jarring and uncomfortable.
And did you have any idea of what profession you wanted to get into? What did you want to pursue when you're going through high school? Did you have any thoughts about after high school?
I don't know. I know it's I don't remember really having a clear thought of wanting to be an actress, although I definitely was doing plays, and I know that I loved it. I think it was more that I didn't really understand that it was a job or a career. So I definitely loved it, but I didn't know that that's what I could be doing. And I also had a ton of other interests. So it wasn't like acting and entertainment was the thing that I wanted, and I've always known it. I sort of was pretty hungry to get an education and learn a bunch of stuff and figure it out. But that all being said, I'm obviously really happy that I am where I am now.
What were your other interests back then? Because I got a question later about your interests now, which is a lot of different fitness kind of things. What were your interests back then?
Oh, man. Well, I loved reading. I still do. I've always been really interested in social work and the foster care system in the U.S. especially. And, different, like, civil rights stuff I thought was interesting, languages. And I think having traveled I was named after a guy named Mircea Monroe, who was a philosopher of religion. So that and having traveled a lot, I was really, really interested in the different religions of the world. So, yeah, I kind of, I guess I still don't feel, what am I trying to say? I guess with the cool thing about my job is that I can still sort of explore different things and pretend that they're my career. So I do feel frustrated in that way.
And when you finished high school, you pretty much at the age of 18, you picked up and moved yourself to Los Angeles with no clear aim in what you wanted to do with your life. What did your parents think about this, and did they try and stop you?
No, you know what's great is I always have felt very, I've always felt that it was okay, that whatever I wanted to do or felt like I needed to do was okay, without any rules. And I think that's a really huge luxury, and I've always been pretty savvy. Like, I've always landed on my feet. So I knew no matter what that I would, be okay. I mean, even if it didn't work in the way I thought I wanted it to, I knew I wasn't going to die. So, yeah, luckily it was just sort of, I mean, looking back, I go, what was I doing? But at the time, for some reason, it seemed so normal and so kind of okay. But it definitely was incredibly risky.
So how long beforehand were you planning this trip to LA?
It took me, I want to say, at least a year, because I had to save up money. So I researched, I found out how much it was, I didn't have any money. I was at the time living in Virginia, and I didn't have any money and was sort of just getting by. So I researched to see how much it would cost to, like, get an apartment and that kind of stuff. And I was put in touch with, like, friends of friends who lived in Los Angeles. So I definitely did my due diligence, and through working, like, really crappy jobs, saved a very, very small amount of money. I think it was somewhere around, like, $1,000. But for me at the time, that was, like, a big deal to be able to save. And it was enough to sort of the gas money to get to LA, and then, just sort of starting to get off my feet. And then luckily I got a job at a restaurant right away. So was that the question? Sometimes I just talk and talk. So sorry.
Yeah, no. Keep talking. The more you talk, the less I have to talk, the more people are entertained. The more I can get you to talk, the better I've done my job. Why LA, not New York?
It's a great question. I almost did New York. In fact, I had gone to look at an apartment in New York. It was so much closer, and I was on the East Coast. And yeah, I don't remember why the New York thing ended up falling through. If maybe I changed my mind or got scared. But yeah, it's a great question. LA was so much farther and therefore scarier. But I had been to LA one time to see a friend and had just sort of fallen in love with it. And there was something to me, the whole sort of Hollywood, Los Angeles, it was all very sexy, very seductive, and just incredibly alluring. And now, of course, I want to be living in New York, so isn't that? But whatever.
So at this point, did you have your sights set on becoming an actress?
I think, I wish I had I'm so muddled with my memory. I don't think I did. My best friend said at the time, she said that I wanted to be a model. I don't remember that, but she said that was like my intention. That obviously did not work out. I just think I really didn't I think I wanted it deep down. I don't think I was able to express it. And I also don't think at the time I really believed that it was possible, but I believed it enough to make the move. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it was subconscious, but I don't think I was really verbalizing it at the time.
Oh, that makes sense. It was in the back of your mind. It was an option.
Yeah, I definitely think I wanted it. I just think I was too scared to say I did.
I'm interested to hear more about your road trip from Michigan to LA, because the cross country road trip is something that like a lot of Australians want to do. They want to drive across America. So how did you do it, and where did you stop along the way, and what kind of things did you do? What kind of towns did you stop in, or did you make friends along the way?
Well, I so think anyone, Australians or otherwise, should absolutely do it. It's such a cool experience, and I think it's a great way to see any country, but especially the U.S. And you always discover wonderful things and interesting people. The way that I did it, though, because it wasn't about sightseeing, it was really about getting to LA in the quickest amount of time, especially because I had such little money that I couldn't afford to like dilly-daddle and like stay in too many places. So I just drove and drove as much as I could. At the time, there definitely wasn't iPhones, so I was using, here we have, it's called AAA. It's like a service that gives you maps and stuff.
Oh,
so,
we have a book that's full of maps.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Yeah.
So I just had those like on my lap, trying to figure out the directions in my really, really, really unreliable car. And I just stayed at, like, I didn't map out where I was staying. Just looking back, I was so naive. And I just kind of, whenever I got tired, would find a place to sleep, like a really, really gross motel that were, they were like $25 a night, which even 10 years ago is pretty disgusting. And I didn't die, which is sort of a miracle.
And when you finally got to LA, how did you discover acting?
I was working at a restaurant and called Volcano Late Night Asian Cuisine, and I was working until like 4 a.m. every night. And there was an executive there from a place called New Line Cinema who I would wait on, and he said I should come in and audition for a movie that he was an executive on. I ended up getting the part. It was a very small part. It was one line, but there were other really great actors in the movie, so it was enough to sort of help me get an agent. That all being said, that story sounds very glamorous and like it happened really fast, but this was like an incredibly long, difficult process of so much hard work. But that initial sort of carrot, that initial little crumb was what definitely wet my little taste buds.
And I heard in an interview that in your first year as an actor, you got, 3 or 4 really good roles, but after that, you decided to go study acting. In hindsight, how do you think you broke into the industry with no prior training? I also heard you say it was kind of about, trying to, like, what's the term they use here? It's called faking it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not hesitant to answer this question, but I'm always aware because I really, really respect the craft of it, and I respect the work that actors and artists in general do to sort of, get where they want to be. And I didn't have training, and I was able to work without it. But I definitely, the value of it and, and classes and learning, I think is huge. So, although I didn't have the luxury of that because I didn't have the money at the time to pay for it. But I definitely, I guess I learned trial by, what is it called? I learned by doing. I learned just by being there and being on that and kind of figuring it out and seeing and watching other people and seeing what worked and seeing what didn't. And I think having the luxury of working with people who were really great and just trying to, soak in everything that I could from being around them.
Do you remember any lessons that you learned that stuck out for you when you were studying acting, or something you still remember today?
I think less about sort of acting itself, but more one of the business things that I definitely remember early on when I met some pretty incredible, smart, successful people was that if you do the work and you have something to offer, then I want to say then you'll be okay. I guess what I mean is sort of I didn't really get any handouts or having people sort of reach out to help, and it was sort of the best gift they could have given because I had to really work to prove myself as opposed to maybe getting offered something I wasn't ready for. So it was a really I'm super grateful that I was made to really work for it.
And through 2005, 2006, and 2007, your workload started to increase with both movies and TV shows. You made appearances in Scrubs, Rules of Engagement, Sons of Anarchy in 2008. There was Sons of Anarchy in 2008, and Without a Trace in 2009. When did you start to feel like you belonged in Hollywood?
Oh man.
There's the punchline.
Still don't. I was at premiere on Monday, this week, and for Episodes, which is a show that I'm on that is premiering on Sunday here in the
I love
States.
Episodes. Love it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yay! That's all. Yeah, me too. It's so fun to be on. But so I was there, and I did the carpet, and then I was like, oh, I'm an actress. So it still takes I stopped for a second and sort of took it in and really felt so grateful. And I have moments like that all the time. But I definitely am getting more comfortable now. It's been long enough where I definitely feel more confident and more comfortable. But it's still something that takes me by surprise.
Have you ever met someone that you've been somebody in the industry, an actor or actress that you've just completely shut down in front of, gone completely shy?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like, I've worked with so many experienced, really, really, really good people, actors and also writers. And yeah, it's taken me a long time to sort of be able to feel confident in those environments because I just feel like I have so much to learn. So yeah, I get, it's less starstruck and more talent struck. It's like when I think people are, so great at what they do in whatever capacity, I'm kind of in awe, but I'm getting better. I'm getting less awkward.
In 2009 and 2010, you were a model and extra for Conan O'Brien 5 times during his Tonight Show stint and for his self-titled show. How did you get that gig? That would be really cool. I love Conan.
Oh, so do I. I'm obsessed. That was one of my favorite jobs. I got that. So this same restaurant that helped me get my very first job. It's so good to me. I also met, but I also waited on one of my closest friends. I mean, she became one of my closest friends. And so, I have all these people that I met through this restaurant that are still in my life all these years later. But anyway, so I meet this girl. She ends up being the writer's assistant on Conan. And one day called and said, hey, do you want to come in and do this sketch? And I'm like, yes. What time? And so from that, it sort of grew into, being more and all of that. And I got to know all the other writers and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so through her, her name's Allison. She's fantastic.
And what surprised you? Did you actually get to meet Conan?
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, so many times. Through that and then through her.
So what surprised you about Conan, meeting him in real life?
It was less surprise. It was more what I thought, which was he was funny and lovely and kind and wonderful to be around. So it was sort of everything that I had dreamed he'd be.
And really tall.
So tall.
Then in 2011, you hit the jackpot with recurring roles on 2 different shows, Episodes, which we mentioned earlier, and Hart of Dixie. What was your first thought when you found out you had regular work on 2 different shows? Because, both the shows started around the same time or in the same year. So what was that feeling when you kind of got those 2 roles?
Felt like, is this real life? It was a mixture of a deep, deep breath, like, thank goodness, finally, and always gratitude and just excitement because it was such a cool, rare experience to be able to play 2 incredibly different characters at the same time on 2 shows that are, well received and that people love. So, yeah, no, it was awesome. But again, it takes so much time for me to kind of process it and realize it. Like, now each of the shows are in their 4th season, and again, I'm just finally like, oh, wait, this is cool. Like, I just always, I know, you never know sort of when it can end and when it's going to be taken away, and so it takes me a long time to kind of believe that something is what it is.
When you go, I heard you mention I got a lot of information. I'll be honest here. I got a lot of information from watching your interview with John Lovitz.
Oh yeah, that's so cool you watched that.
That was
a very deep interview.
That was a weird experience.
I loved it.
Yeah. Was he? I don't want you to out him or anything, but did he have a bit of alcohol in his system, or is that his character?
No, I don't. Well, I don't. Not that I know of. He's a very quirky, wonderful, funny, guy who does really well with like these long, awkward silences. Like he's so. I think the world of him, and I loved every second of it. Every second of it.
So I want to ask you: can you kind of distinguish between the two audiences, the audience of Hart of Dixie and the audience of episodes? Is there a distinguishable difference between the two audiences when you get noticed when you're out in the streets?
Yeah, Dixie has so many. Well, it's their demographic I would say is more, I don't know, 20 to 40. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I would say as far as people that approach me. And men love it too, but it's definitely whenever I have like kind of young girls come up to me, I know that that's probably what they're that's what they're going to be talking about. And episodes is a little, I wouldn't say like more intellectual, like, because I want to be careful with how I word it. It's just, they're just different. They're just so different. Dixie is really fun and fluffy and sweet and like lovely, and episodes is a little more specific and I don't know, but yeah, they're definitely, I guess to answer it, there definitely is a difference in the people that watch.
And can you
not good or bad?
Can you pick it when people are coming up to you in the street? Can you pick it before they open their mouth?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, almost always. Although I'm like pleasantly surprised sometimes. Like there was just at the airport a guy, an older gentleman who he and his wife love Hart of Dixie, and like I just never would have pegged this man for being like a Hart of Dixie lover. It was awesome. So you never know.
Your character in episodes is called Morning Randolph, which is a unique name in itself, and the show is about a show within a show. Have you figured out the best way of explaining this?
Oh no, I mean. The other cast members are fantastic and articulate, and I try to explain. I'm so bad at that kind of stuff. Like, I'm like, it's like a show, and then I play like two people. Oh, I'm horrible. I'm horrible in interviews. But it's not a hard concept to understand. I just suck at explaining it.
And I just learnt recently that episodes is filmed in London and Hart of Dixie is filmed in LA. So do you spend half the year in each city?
Yeah, so I spend less than that, probably up to 3 months in London, and then Dixie. I'm on and off of Dixie, so I don't know, maybe a few months here or there, or a few weeks here or there, that kind of thing. It sounds more severe than it is. It actually works out pretty flawlessly, but definitely there's a huge amount of travel involved, which, is super fun, but sometimes hard.
And I think Hart of Dixie is like a normal kind of show with the 20-episode seasons, but episodes is like HBO Showtime kind of thing where it's 12, 13 episodes. What's the advantage of each length of series?
I think the cool thing about cable, or specifically episodes, is that we have more time in between, so the writers have a lot more time to write the season, which is awesome. I think for them, because when we start shooting, have the entire season mapped out, which is awesome, and it's like doing a movie in that way. So that's really cool. With Hart of Dixie or a network show, they have so many more, which is awesome because you get to do a ton more shows. It's also a lot harder because they're writing, they have to write it a lot more. It's just a lot more work. So, not necessarily for me or for the actor, but, well, it is more for the actor, but I mean, as far as the writers are concerned, they definitely work their little butts off. Well, they both do in both ways, but it's just more. It's just twice as much. So it's everything that comes along with twice as much work. which means twice as much money.
It's always good. It's why
Yeah.
that's the advantage. Your character.
Yeah, that's why network shows are awesome.
Your character on Hart of Dixie is called Tansy Truitt, which is also a pretty unique name. What do you like about her and Morning, your character on episodes, and what are some of the challenges in playing these characters?
I love that Tansy is sort of spunky, southern, small town, real, just, takes care of herself, got a little spunk. She's got a huge heart. She's so lovable. Like, to me, I absolutely love her. And with Morning, she's very strong and confident, yet insecure because she's had all this plastic surgery, but kind of been around. She's much, much older. So yeah, they're kind of completely opposite.
Is it harder to play someone? Is it harder to play someone that's around your age or a little bit younger, or is it harder to play someone that's a lot older, like Morning? Because you kind of have to go somewhere where you haven't actually been chronologically yet. You have to have that kind of maturity that you haven't actually developed naturally.
Totally. And I think especially for me, because especially when I started that job, was a lot more insecure. So it was hard for me to sort of have the confidence that she had and just the feeling of what comes along when you're older and having lived. But that challenge was so great for me, and I learned so much, and I kind of had to act like the person that maybe I would eventually be, not in some ways. So that was a fantastic challenge, and definitely one that I ended up feeling like I was able to do and live into, but it was super intimidating at first. And Tansy so Morning I struggled with a lot more initially, and Tansy felt very natural and very, I immediately sort of related to her.
And I couldn't go a whole interview without mentioning Matt LeBlanc, obviously Joey, and he's obviously the star of episode. Well, one of the stars of episodes. Do the Friends references really get on his nerves, or is that just him acting?
No, I mean, there's definitely as far as like all the acting stuff, it doesn't at all necessarily mean that that's what the person thinks. And as far as the references, like he's such a wonderful, chill guy. Like, I've never seen him be like upset or annoyed or angry. I think that he's very thankful for where he is and because of Friends and what that's done for him. So I at least have never seen him in any way be frustrated with that. He's always so graceful and handles it so well and jokes about it, and he's an incredible person and friend.
So even though in episodes he's playing himself, he's still more of a more of a celebrity than he is in real life, quote unquote celebrity than he is in real life.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean there's a ton of differences between the version of himself in the show and who he actually is. Absolutely. There's some similarities too, but there's tons of differences. I'll let you figure out which are which.
But I just want to know that he's still fun.
Oh, he's so awesome to be around. Like, he lights up a room and the people around him. He's incredible.
Now, I do love episodes. I watch episodes. I haven't watched Hart of Dixie before, but I read up on your character, and you seem to have some slight similarities with her. She is trying to add some strings to her bow by studying cosmetology, which is pretty cool. And you also have a lot of different strings to your bow. You have some cool hobbies and qualifications, like you used to write a dating column. You're a certified yoga instructor and scuba diver instructor, and you also surf. You love boxing, and you do spin classes. How do you fit all this in with two shows as well?
Well, yeah, everything you said sounded so amazing, but I think when you piece it out over a long period of time, I did the yoga certification when work was a little slower. Well, of course, I started it when work was slower, and then, as fate would have it, got a movie and then had to do both at the same time. But the movie agreed to do their schedule around my yoga certification, which is unheard of. Like, they were incredible and respectful, and it was at the time something I thought was it was something really important to me that I wanted to finish. Because with acting, it's so hard to finish anything else because the schedule, you never know when things are going to be, and you're sort of at the mercy of so many other people. So it was the one thing that I was pretty determined to accomplish and finish. And it's a small amount of time comparatively. So that was how that happened. And then the scuba diving was through work, where I played a character who was scuba diving. So that was all through work, which was awesome. And then now I get to do it, like, obviously as a hobby, and when I go places I can dive. And the boxing was, again, through work. A lot of this stuff was through work that I had to learn. So it was sort of two birds, one stone.
So what keeps you motivated to continue these things after you've played the role that you need to do them? And what motivates you to stay fit?
Wanting to get married. No, I'm just kidding. It feels so good. I think it's less, I mean, obviously it's nice to, like your body and have it be in a place where you feel confident. But for me, it's hugely mental, where I work out 6 days a week, but not anything crazy, not obsessive. Sometimes it's 30 minutes and it's like a walk. So I guess that's not even a workout, but just something physical so that my mind can click in to being more present and focused. Otherwise, I feel kind of irritable and not quite right. So it's more so that I can be a better human being and less so that I can look good in a bikini.
Well, both those things, I guess, are positive.
Yeah, that's the byproduct, so it's cool.
Is there anything new you want to try? It's the start of the year. Is there anything new you want to try this year?
Yes, always. I will always try anything I haven't done. Always, always, always. I'd love to, I don't know that I want to skydive. I'd love to, like, parasail or paraglide. And it's pretty doable. Like, it's not, there are places relatively close to my house that do it. So I'd love to do that. I'm trying to think. Other good questions. Yeah, I just want to.
Oh, that's my job. I've got to make you think.
I know. I'm like, I'll try anything. So, yeah.
It's a dangerous last sentence. It's a dangerous last sentence.
I know. Oh God, I know.
So
within reason.
What about the bucket list? What's always been on your mind that you want to try? Have you been all the way out to Australia before, or is there somewhere you want to travel, or something else you want to do?
I was just gonna say bucket list is all for the most part traveling. I've been lucky enough to definitely go to a lot of places, but there are so many left. I've never done Australia, even though I was so close, so that's huge. I haven't been to Africa. I haven't. I mean, I could list a ton I haven't done. So all of those are. India is on the list. I'd love to. Even though I was in Fiji and lived there, I'd love to go back. But yeah, most of my bucket list is travel related, and then maybe a few, of course, like work experiences that I'd love to have. But yeah, hugely travel related.
Do you keep in touch with anybody from the Solomon Islands or Fiji still?
I do. It's really fun, but Facebook, man, pretty amazing.
Wow.
So,
even from when you were 10 years old, you still keep in touch with them?
Yeah, and they're so savvy now. Like, at the time, we didn't have TV, radio, like, we didn't have internet, and now there's all that stuff, and they have access to it. So yeah, so we're able to Facebook. I just got, actually, one of my Fijian friends just wrote about episodes because I posted a picture, and so she just wrote, and it's really amazing because her English is still choppy, but it's like the sweetest. I don't know. Reading it is the cutest thing in the world to me because it's like a mixture. It's a English Fijian mixture. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So I definitely love to see them and kind of see where I grew up. I haven't been back since I left, so that would be incredible.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mircea.
Yay!
And
nice to meet you. How fun!
Yeah, it was great to meet you too. Good luck for episodes in Hart of Dixie. Have a great
cool.
What time is it now? Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. I'll talk to you.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye.